coming out tonight. We've worked really hard to come together to document the contributions of our community to the city of Detroit. A comprehensive collection of these stories has yet to be done, and this committee came together to invite you here tonight because that's what we're going to do.
We are committed to make sure that our community is uplifted, it's stable, and it remains where it is, and that we remain our identity. Latinos represent different facets of our community, whether it's in education, community leaders, business. There's just across the music is the thing that brings us together. So we wanted just to do a little bit of a highlight of what's yet to come and how we're going to continue.
Started doing some filming back in 2011. We had other people involved, like Eddie Caraballo, musician.
A friend of ours, Cesar Pena, who was a guitarist who was on tour with the blues legend Albert King.
It was urgent work, as many others who have impacted our history have been passing away. We talk about Detroit, but we don't talk about the national impact some of the people born in this neighborhood, raised in this neighborhood have had.
What used to be, as many of you remember, Bagley Avenue, La Bagley, we had Pacheco's Barber Shop down the street, and across the street was Tenorio's Supermarket, and we had La Michoacan, all of that.
Your families all have stories, and the old way was the oral tradition, right? And would pass along. There was a story in our family about when they finally made it to San Antonio, and the guy said, "Do you want to go to Michigan?" He misunderstood and thought it was Michoacan. It's where they came from, and he goes, ah. And so there's been all these versions of what they thought when they got on that train, where they were. By the time they got on the train, they knew they were not going to Michoacan, they were going to Michigan.
We didn't have anybody from Detroit, Michigan that focused on the Mexican community. I was the first one to come out with this.
We will be coming to you and asking you to please recommend names, recommend people, and everyone has a story, a good story, to tell, whether you were in education, in politics, in community organizing, in the nonprofit sector, the people from Casa Maria, the people from La Sed, the people from all the nonprofits that started in the 70s and still exist today.
This forum is really motivating.
Michigan was an important migrant community. There were many, many migrants who, like your family, settled out.
We are part of yesterday's history, but we're going into a new era of history.
I want to say mil gracias. Thank you so much for coming out here tonight, especially because it's such a cold day with the wind. I also want to say thank you to our panelists for joining us and sharing their knowledge and experience in documenting the history of this community for many, many years. I particularly would like to acknowledge the person who we all have alluded to being as instrumental in bringing all of us together, Ozzy Rivera. And with the generous donation through the Krotsky Foundation is how we were able to launch this event and hope to be able to bring you even more than this, right? To be able to document those stories, formally archive them and make them accessible to community, because really that's the people who we need to be accessing and learning and seeing this information and seeing themselves reflected in history.
We have only just begun. That is the story. Let our story begin.